This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com. This show is brought to you by IndyWrestling.us. Check out IWC, RWA, and more. And listeners like you, support this show at patreon.com/Wrestling Mayhem Show.
Hungry as fuck, but I ain't starving yet. Chain for the pain, cocktail bar set. Never said I was a gangster or thug, but I'm an animal. Feeding for the taste of the floor.
Hey guys, it is the Indy Mayhem Show. I'm Mike Sorg at Sorgatron on the Twitter here in the Sorgatron Media Studios in Pittsburgh, PA. And yes, we got another in-studio guest, and maybe the last one for a while with everything going on and all the craziness. But please stay tuned to whatever we do have coming up here. We got a few ideas to keep things going while wrestling may be taking a break in general for all you fans out there. But in the meantime, please go hit up everything at WrestlingMayhemShow.com, IndyWrestling.us, where you can find this and other great podcasts and other great wrestling as well. With our great partners over there on the Indy Wrestling US and the Indy Wrestling US network. And please drop us a line if you have anybody you think we should be chatting with. Good times at WrestlingMayhemShow.com or 412-206-WMS0. We got somebody. This is somebody that's I think we've been trying to get you on for a while, actually, and scheduling is just not worked out.
Yeah, this is finally the debut.
The debut
of Lewis.
And he says, nothing's going to stop me. I'm going to get in that studio.
That's right. Nothing is going to stop me. Not even a virus.
Lewis the Nerd with us. He's just had his farewell from Ryse Wrestling earlier this month. Mm-hmm. There you go. Ride in the shark.
Some people ride away in the sunset. I ride away on a shark.
There you go. My favorite mug in here. But anyway, so we just recorded some extra content for the Indie Wrestling Network because we got you together with some people. Not social distanced, safe. Everything's been wiped down. We're taking all the precautions while we're doing this here as one of our last ones here in the studio for a bit. But hey, let's roll around. We want to talk about that farewell a little bit, of course, later in the show. But first of all, for people that don't know Lewis the Nerd, let's learn a little bit about you. So the question I like to kick off with usually is, what is your earliest kind of memory of pro wrestling?
So the earliest memory that I ever have, I was very young. I want to say like 6 years old. We were in Marco Island, Florida with my family. We were on vacation.
Okay.
And all of a sudden we turn on the television, and all of a sudden, next thing I know, I see Brock Lesnar taking the Big Show to the top of the turnbuckle. And I'm like, oh, this is just wrestling or whatever. And then the suplex happens, and it's like, holy shit.
Like, what is this?
Like, this is awesome. And I was kind of hooked from there. Man, I forget the next time I watched wrestling, but CM Punk really got me hooked onto it. Just because I'm always a huge fan of promo work. So just seeing him with the microphone, I was just like, yep, he's my new favorite guy. He is my guy now.
Awesome. So going from that, you kind of grew more into it, right? So how did you kind of discover, going from, okay, this is fun to watch to I want to get into it?
Basically it started in, we'll say middle school. Just in middle school was just started really thinking about it. Just, I want to do wrestling for fun, just like on the side. And then I got to high school and I did research and typed in local independent wrestling schools. And I saw the wrestling school for PWX and was just like, okay, sounds good. But what I always hear from most of the interviews I see is get your college degree and then go on from there. So I got my college degree in communications at Pitt at Greensburg, which is where they have Pit Fight. And communications degree is basically just getting a second high school degree. So
wait a minute. It's a little more than that, right?
It is a little bit more than that, but like if you took the classes I did,
okay,
just like this is the easiest way to get through. Public speaking, I can talk.
But good preparation for wrestling as well in the long run, too.
Yeah, in the long run, it got you prepared. And then as soon as I got my degree, decided to finally contact a wrestling school. And then I went down there, and I wanted to see the ring first and everything and see everything about it. And that's why I met Brandon Kay and Crusher Hansen. And they're like, "Do you want to step in the ring?" And I stepped in the ring, and just like trying to think of like a moment, like if you've touched a holy grail and you're just like, ha, like one of those moments. You're just like, whoa, how I get to stand in a ring. It's like when you go to a wrestling show and you say, "Oh, that'd be awesome if I go in that ring right now." I did that. I was in that ring at that moment. It's awesome. They told me what the tryout was. It was 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 150 squats, run a mile. So I was like, okay, I'll be back. And I was gone for 3 months, just 3 days or 4 days a week, just doing that exact thing at Lynch Field in Greensburg, just running a mile and then doing the 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 150 squats. And then when it finally came to the tryout, I did it. So that's how that got started.
So you're getting into it, and people have an idea of what their persona is going to be. And was the nerd persona the first thing on top of mind?
No.
That was not entirely what you were going for.
No, it wasn't.
As a fan who was captured by CM Punk and Brock Lesnar and Big Show.
Well, my original idea was every time I would make a wrestling character on a video game, he would be he'd be 6'10", 280 pounds.
What's your actual height?
My actual height is 5'10".
Okay.
And I'm 150 pounds.
Okay.
And my wrestler would also be able to do a Phoenix Splash.
Okay.
So,
all right.
And
not asking the world. I mean,
yeah. So I would have the expectation of just like what everyone wants to do when they get into wrestling, and watching CM Punk and Brock Lesnar, badass heel. So like the way CM Punk talked and delivered himself, I was just like, that's awesome. That's what I want to do. And so I got into it, and when we were filming the other content, I told you about how I wanted to be a character named Dustin Brown, because I was like, God, that is the whitest name possible. I want that name to be an arrogant person. And to a point where I actually filmed something for WWE at a competition for Show Your Superstar. And I was like, I'm going to do that with the Dustin Brown character.
And was this targeted at pro wrestlers or fans? Or
fans?
It was a fan thing. Okay.
But like they had the guy the Brock Lesnar guy, like he filmed one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The guy that reacted to the Brock Lesnar winning against Taker.
Yeah, he made a video for it, and I made a video for it also, and I actually made like a WWE like highlight reel. And what happened was the guy who actually won, Mama's Boy. So if Mama's Boy's watching, congrats. But this competition was sponsored by like Tostino's Pizza Bites or something. So the guy would come out to the ring like, "I'm Mama's Boy," and there'd be little people dressed up in the Pizza Bites. And I was just like, what a ripoff. Like, you're basically doing advertisements for WWE. I'm a communications major. I know that.
So, but still, you said you got into one of the packages, so you got a little bit of TV time, right?
Yeah. So. The package is funny. Some of the people, like there's this one guy, he was like wearing a mask, like a lucha mask, but you could see like his eyes kind of looked nerdy, like me. And he was just like, oh, what did he say? He's just like, my name is... No. My name is Fred. And you ever get that feeling when someone coughs in your mouth? I'm like, what is this guy talking about?
That guy would be the biggest heel today. After that. He was just ahead of things, apparently.
Speaking of that, I just touched my nose.
Oh, no, he touched his face.
All right, so I got hand sanitizer with me. So
We're good.
Honey Badger, who's... I got hand sanny with me.
We're all set. We're social distance. He's across you're 6 feet away from me. We wiped everything down, and he's got a hand sanitizer. He's good to go.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
So tell me about getting into training. There's a couple good stories that's on the other project we're putting on the network here. But tell me about that general experience. Did you have an idea what to expect when getting into it? Was it harder than you expected?
What happened was I said they would do the 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 150 squats, run a mile. So whoever wants to try out for wrestling, there's your secret for right now. But what happened was they did that, but they broke it up. So they would be like, all right, do 10 push-ups now. All right, now we're going to do 10 squats. All right, now we're going to do 20 push-ups. Now we're going to do 15 sit-ups. And they kept breaking it up and up and up and up. And like I told you in the project that we were just working on, I was a little bit hungry beforehand. And I was like, what can I do? It was 2 hours before the trial. I was like, you know what? I'm going to drink a muscle milk. That's going to be the thing that's going to hold me over. And I threw up. And I was looking at the trash can like, and Brandon K just goes, you can throw up if you want to. And I was just like, I'm going to throw up. And so I just threw up in the can and I was crawling back into the ring and they're like, you still want to go? I'm like, yes.
So it's exactly like you see in the movies from the sounds of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you pushed back that. You still came back.
Yes, still came back. Still crawled into the ring. Brandon pushed me to do more push-ups. He was like, you got one more in you. And I did it.
Mm-hmm.
This was at the end of the trial too, where they were doing push-ups. They were like, you got one more in you. And I did another push-up. He went, you got one more in you. I did another push-up. He's good. Come on, I know you got one more in you. And I went down and I was pushing and I was like, ah. And I got up. I was like, yeah. And he's like, you got one more in you. I'm like, God damn, no, I don't. But I tried. I went to failure, but yeah. So
you still push.
It was a lot of work.
So you're getting at it. You're learning the ropes here. And where does Lewis the Nerd come up in along the way in your training?
So as I was just training, just trying out different things, Crusher said, God, you look like Lewis from Revenge of the Nerds.
And had you seen that? Were you aware of this movie?
At the time, I did not watch it.
Okay.
I had no clue.
It was the 80s. So, yeah.
I had no clue about the movie at all. And sometimes if you're coming up with your own character, that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can get a basis of what the character is, but not exactly replicate the character. So I thought it was an advantage to not know who Lewis was. So I started slowly coming up with like little things here and there. I tried doing out different laughs. There was a time where I was training where I did the laugh like throughout the match.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that sounds like, oh, he just laughed during little parts. But I mean like me running around like, ha 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 ha, and I bump and I'm like, ha 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 ha, like I'm
so the laugh was just a reaction to everything going on.
So I was in a kind of like Joker. So like I'm in a rest hold and I'm just like, and they're just like, okay, that's way too much laughing.
Mm-hmm.
You need to you need to tone down on that. God, I make myself laugh. So
is there is there a part where you're just like practicing the nerd laugh in a mirror?
Yeah, there definitely was. But I kind of got like his laugh in the movie. I don't know, it's different from mine.
Mm-hmm.
But my laugh is distinctive. I'm trying to think like it sounds like he's like like that.
It's like asthmatic.
Yeah.
On top of things, like loud and asthmatic.
It's asthmatic, like and me, I'm like like it's more up, like if that makes sense.
It's more joyful.
Yeah, it is more joyful.
Awesome. So you starting to develop this nerd, your inner nerd, if you will. So how did and this was the school was with PWX, of course, at the time, right?
Yes.
Going into things. So you get into a little bit about that development in your first match. Tell me a little bit about that first match.
The first match. So at the time they were doing a whole storyline with the Order,
Mm-hmm.
and that
And what was the Order?
that
That was the faction at the time, right?
it was a
Okay.
heel faction at PWX. Brandon K was the leader. Duke was in it. David Lawless was in
Mm-hmm.
it. Lee Moriarty was in it.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Potts was in it. I don't think anyone remembers who he is, but he trained with us.
Okay.
So that's a shout out to him. And so basically the first match I was supposed to do was against Quinn Magnum.
Mm-hmm.
And the order was this: how to get into that match, because it doesn't make sense. Why am I picking a fight with Quinn Magnum? We've established this. I'm 5'10" and 150 pounds, and he is bigger than that. So
I think he's a good 6'4", if I recall.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. So I come out, and because I'm just doing nerd stuff, just running around, and I see the Order, and my idea in my head was like, I want to mark out for them. Like, I want to be like, I go out there and I'm like, oh, you're David Lawless, you're Duke Davis. And I did that, and then they said, you know what, Lewis, we're gonna let you join the Order. And I'm like, like, marking out over that. And then they said, but you have to punch Quinn Magnum. And then Quinn comes out, and so I punch him once. He does the slow head turn like that, and I go to punch him again, grabs my hand and picks me up, throws me down, and I'm like, oh. And actually, when he hit me with that, I actually had a tough time getting up because there was a pain like in my groin area after that. I was like, ah, and like I was like, first was that I was like, ah, and I go to get up, and I'm like, ah, it's pain everywhere. And then he hits me with a choke slam, and I did push up for that, but that it was kind of dumb to do that because he picked me up with ease like I'm a pencil, and so the choke slam happened 1, 2, 3, and that was my first match.
Awesome. Let's move ahead. Of course, Ryse Wrestling. We just had your kind of departure from there, and there was a lot of discussion about that you were the Heart of Ryse. Throughout this entire thing. I guess, although again we talked about with this other project, you were basically there since. Well, I think what we were talking about, you were. We always say like there was the first match was like Lee and Tony, but you were actually on the pre-show. So you actually were the first to walk into the Stronghold at Ryse's complex when they were kicking off.
Yeah. So Lee, Tony. Sorry, I gotta take that away from you guys. But I was the first person at Ryse. But yeah,
unfortunately, no video evidence. I understand, but
there is no video evidence. Don't let that defunct that. But but yeah, I was the first person on Ryse against Crusher Hansen. We always had awesome chemistry. He was very good with comedy, and he knew how to be a bully also, which was perfect because I was like, I'm a nerd and I do funny spots also. It just worked every single time.
Yeah.
And we were on, we established this. What was it? Dropkick? What are we dropkicking?
I think it was Dropkick Addiction, I believe.
Dropkick Addiction. That's right. I forget what we were dropkicking. But we were the pre-show in that also. And everyone on that card, they were also great too. But people came up to us and were just like, yeah, you guys were the best match on the card. I'm like, whoa, okay. So, yeah, we always had great chemistry.
Talk to me a little bit about, Ryse was your home for, this, 3 years, if I got the time right? 3 or 4 years?
3 or 4 years. Yeah.
So what was it about that atmosphere in that? Again, this is, Ryse is a, with a Y. We have to establish that in this show because we do talk about the other one every once in a while. But it's this old movie theater in the Connellsville area, a good bit south of Pittsburgh. What made that kind of different than what you saw maybe up at the in McKeesport for PWX?
The fact that like it was in a movie theater, like that sets you up perfect. It sets up the environment. It sets up everything. So you walk in and there's like a lobby. You can sell your merchandise out there. You can sell popcorn. They had the screens up there, the TV screens up there too, promoting the other matches. I'm just like, whoa, this is cool. But you know what's even cooler? Going inside. Like it's like the build up to going inside of there. It's like telling a story. I'll get. Sorry, my mind is all over the place. Like I told you, like when I do a podcast, when I think of something, I'm like, I need to talk about this.
And you've been doing a lot of them lately. So.
Yeah, but it's like Disney World because I talk a lot about Disney World when I was talking to Brandon K because I know a lot about Disney World. It's telling a story. The second you go into the park, you go in there, and all of a sudden you're at a train station and you're just like, oh, I wonder what's inside of here. Because they actually cover up Cinderella's castle really good before you even get into the park. You can see it when you're like outside on the monorail, but when you're like right outside the park, you can't see anything. Next thing you know, you walk in. I forget what they called it, but I researched it, but they called it like the grand opening or like the first landmark that you see. You turn that corner and then you're right on Main Street, and then you just see this castle in the distance. Did I just compare Ryse Wrestling to Magic Kingdom? I guess. But but you go into the theater, you go into the lobby, and then it's just like, oh my God, then this wrestling event is in a movie theater. Then you go into the movie theater, you got the movie theater screen in the background. At the bottom of it is a wrestling ring. And yeah, it just all lined up perfect. And I got such a great vibe off of that environment. So yeah, Ryse is cool. And it's magical, supposedly.
It's magical. You could say it's the happiest place on earth.
Yes.
We talked a lot about again off the show about your kind of build there. You kind of came into your own the bookers at Ryse talked about how they got to this point where you had to be on every show. Like you became a staple with that promotion.
Honestly, at Ryse, I kind of planned my schedule around Ryse because even if I wasn't going to be booked on the show, I was going to be there. Like even if I wasn't booked, because that's how I did it at PWX. I just showed up to every show because I was like, I don't know, am I booked? Am I not booked? I don't know, but I'll be there.
Yeah.
If you need me to be there, I'm here. So yeah, I just came to every single Ryse show that I possibly could, and then eventually when the character started catching on and they said we need him on every show, I was there for it. So yeah. One piece of advice: show up.
Paul Atlas often has a comment that it always sticks in my head when we're doing the shows on the production that Lewis is the Ricky Morton of Ryse Wrestling.
I hear that during every single match of mine, which to compare me to Ricky Morton, which is awesome.
And of course, Paul, another vet in the area.
But one thing I learned from watching like a Ricky Morton match or like listening to anything about it, he looks into the crowd's eyes and like, reaches out to them. And that's like, help me. Your cheering will help me. I am Tinkerbell. Clap for me. But
I never thought about that. I never thought about that old Peter Pan clap for him thing.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just make the fans believe in you, staring, like looking. I will look into people's eyes, like, and I'll see the little kid just like look at their mom and be like, he looked at me, like, yeah, clap.
When I think I first saw you in the PWX days, coming to one of the shows, and just again, I try to go to all wrestling shows when I'm have a weekend off from something, and you stuck out, and I'm just like, this guy's coming out, and he's wearing his sports goggles.
That's inspired off of the movie Dodgeball.
Really,
the guy who that sucks at dodgeball, and he puts on the glasses before he plays the game. So that's who that's inspired off of.
That's awesome.
Because I tried wrestling with the glasses on, like my regular glasses, but they just kept falling off.
But yeah, and that becomes a problem because then you're like, if you don't have the glasses, that's kind of an identifying trademark.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's like most the people that wear glasses without frames, like indie people.
Mhm.
Not indie wrestlers, indie people. Like just like, yeah, this is a style, like a Zoe Deschanel.
Okay.
But like
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm
Is it,
just
like, I'm not doing a hipster thing here. It's
yeah. Like if my glasses come off and I'm wearing them to start the match, it's like,
Yeah.
won't I be blind if
Yeah.
I'm not wearing them?
Right.
So like, yeah, that's why I started. I toyed with the idea of putting something on the sides,
Hmm.
but then just walking through Dick's Sporting Goods, just found racquetball glasses. That's what they technically are. They're for racquetball.
And if you feel like if Lewis is the sporting type, he'd be playing racquetball.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
I've played racquetball before. I played against my mom,
Mhm.
and it was at LA Fitness, and basically, she used to play racquetball a lot when she was younger, and
Mhm.
I was like, oh, whatever, I'll just go and play racquetball with her. I swear to God, she might as well have put on a glove that had spikes on it, because I was like, why are you wearing gloves? It's like, she crushed me. She destroyed
You're
me.
like, what am I getting into?
Yeah.
These are my crushing gloves. You had multiple opportunities, so it was really kind of surprising, and Lewis, seems like that. We talk about that there was a lot of talk about how you're often the first match because that's what gets the crowd into you. Like everybody's really dedicated to you, right? And it was amazing. Like a couple months into working with Ryse on the video, and Lewis finds himself in the main event for the main championship as well. And not like it didn't feel like a we threw this guy in here. Like you had a good story going into it.
Yeah. I was supposed to face Jackson Stone, which congratulations to him.
Yes, got some Impact Wrestling gut check success lately.
Yep. So congratulations to him. I was supposed to face Jackson Stone. He had to cancel because a blizzard came.
Yes.
And I wouldn't drive through a blizzard. So
I think he was in Michigan at the time, right?
Yeah. So it was bad. And then dates didn't line up for the second time, and they said, let's have Lewis in the main event. And I told Marcus this. It was just like, if the door cracks, kick it open, because you never know when you're going to get these opportunities again.
So you had this for you were in the picture for a little bit, had a couple of matches with that, and again, had great matches with Lee Moriarty. I know you're talking about that was one of your early on Ryse, one of your favorite kind of experiences.
Yeah, I had a moment when I was in the ring where it's kind of like I said this in the other one, but just like the old WWE video games, the commercials where you would be in the ring, it'd be first person, the guy's looking at his hands, and you're just like, oh, where am I? And John Cena's coming to the ring, and he's like, you! And that's how I felt. It was first Lee came out, and like I get a big reaction most of the time when I'm wrestling.
Yeah.
But that was the first time I knew it wasn't going to be big for me. It was going to be all around. So it was, Lee comes out to his awesome music. So I love his theme song. I don't know where to get it on iTunes, but I want to get it. And then Jack comes out, and
Jack Pollock.
Jack Pollock. And it was that moment where it was just like, holy crap, I'm in the ring with these guys. Like, how did I get here?
Jack had been tearing it up for a while with IWC and other promotions in the greater area. Lee was really probably just hitting his stride. It's weird to say now with everything going on with him these days. But yeah, he was the first Ryse champion a few months into that, and really kind of hitting that.
Yeah. Lee is awesome. Jack Pollock is awesome. And when you have two awesome people and you have someone who's trying to be awesome, and you have an awesome match.
That was good. We have some cool details, cool fun facts about some of how that match came together on our project that'll be coming up on the network soon. From there, you got into tag teams really big up until the end here with Ryse. Tell us a little bit about getting the kind of inception of military intelligence.
Military intelligence. There was a tag team tournament that was coming up, and my schedule outside of wrestling wasn't lining up with Ryse Wrestling. So there was a point for about a couple months or so where I really wasn't wrestling on Ryse because I got married. So we've been married for about a year now. Drake and I.
Oh my.
No, but Marcus had an idea. Now that I know, Marcus had an idea of putting Drake and I together, and so we have this awesome quick match. And I think one detail no one really saw, except for me, for my final match and the first match Drake and I had. After our match ended, I grabbed the microphone and I won that match. And I go, Drake, you were a worthy opponent. Like I said it just like that. I don't know why I wanted to say it. But in the last match, before he does the Shawn Michaels Ric Flair moment, instead of saying "I'm sorry, I love you," I have him say "You were a worthy opponent."
That's what he says. That's great. That was one of those moments where I wasn't there. I was unfortunately off on a shoot in Florida for the weekend, so sad I couldn't make that. But I remember having a call with my wife who was filming that event, and it was just like, you got to this moment, this happens. They do the Shawn Michaels thing, they do the Ric Flair Shawn Michaels thing, and it was like it was so great, and she was very excited to have been present for that.
Just that match was one of the films that I studied to get ready for that match. And the funny thing is, what was it? Ric Flair works a lot of heat on Shawn Michaels in that match.
Yeah.
And it made sense because I watched the match. I'm like, Rick doesn't take a lot of bumps because he's old. And so I was like, Shawn Michaels really put that match together well. So like, honestly, after my match, I felt great. Like, I didn't hurt or anything. It was just, we planned it out so well. So yeah.
You had a pretty good send off there. You had the entire a lot of your partners in training came out. They put all the belts on you.
That was funny. If you rewatch the clip of that, Duke puts the one title on me, Gannon puts the other title on me, and put it on my shoulders. And Tony Johnson puts the shoulder around my waist, but he doesn't strap it. So as I'm walking up to the rope, he's holding on.
I saw this.
And waddling with me, and I do the whole pose like that.
I can't remember if I edited it out, but like I know I saw it.
You did a good job. You found the angles of where to hide it. So but it was a funny moment. I liked it.
Awesome. So you've had this career for the last 4 years, right?
Yeah, around 4. I always say 5 because I'm just like Labor Day 2015 was my tryout, and I just say, 5 years. So I don't know. I'm blunt. Like I don't line up the months and everything.
So what's next for Lewis? You're leaving us in the Pittsburgh area.
I am leaving the Pittsburgh area. So to give a explanation, because I know on social media after my farewell match, it I'm not dead, first of all.
Which you said is a message that you've received.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff looked like I died, but I'm not dead. I'm alive. But I'm not retired either. I'm still wrestling. But my wife is going for her master's degree.
Okay.
And where she found was at the University of Indianapolis. So she's going to be going for, I always say this to her, I'm like, send me a message of what you're going for, because I forget every time. Something with visual arts and nonprofit organizations.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That's enough.
Yeah, that's enough for me. So that was the reason for the move. And I used to go to the Indy 500 every single year. So I'm a little bit familiar with the area too.
Nice.
So this is a big move that we've been ready for. I mean, we were both ready to leave Pittsburgh. I didn't know, or I didn't realize how much Pittsburgh would be missing me. I was just like, oh my God. Like, it was insane, but I'm just moving. It's just going to be a nice little 6-hour commute, but yeah, I plan on still wrestling out there. My match with Cole Radrick was awesome. He's going to be booking for Complex Wrestling. Okay. Out in the first location was Spencer, Indiana. Got canceled because of the COVID-19 situation. But I definitely plan on wrestling with them. I told Brandon this. What I love about the Lewis character is there's not really a t-shirt that says Lewis the Wrestler. or it's not really a business card that says Lewis the Wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not going to be wrestling forever. So I would love to keep building this brand
Mm-hmm.
of just Lewis the Nerd, even if it's if it's entertainment, obviously entertainment, but like entertainment such as like podcasting, and like I've told you before, I tried getting in with radio stations to try and be on the air. So
Mm-hmm.
even if it's on the air for the radio stations or television or anything, so. I mean, look at John Cena. He went from
Mm-hmm.
wrestling to big in Hollywood. I'm not saying I'm going to be in Hollywood tomorrow. I'm going to be like singing.
You'll find your Hollywood.
Yeah, I'll find my Hollywood. I'm going to be singing into like Korn out in Indiana. but that's kind of the game plan. Just keep growing the brand of Lewis.
Awesome. So you've been able to kind of workshop like what this is in a wrestling ring, and you have that direct feedback of the fan base. So, and I think you realized the last match that you can also make people cry.
That was a scary tool that I should not know about. When everyone came out and I'm looking at everybody and everyone's in tears, I feel like Thanos. I'm like, I have this power.
I must use this for good. You just look at your hands.
But don't let that take away that I was very emotional that night as well. I was focused on the match, but after the match was over and like everyone came out, that was too much. Like some of those moments where you feel like you don't deserve all of that, but it happened. Like
that's amazing. Well, Lewis, it's been awesome to watch this journey. One question I like to end the show on: what's the best and the worst thing about indie wrestling for you so far?
The best thing I think is the easy answer, which is the fans. Just I tell some trainees this also. Just take that little bit of time out, like for intermission, to talk to your fans a little bit more. Because you get to know them. And I mean, there was someone at Ryse who he talked to me every time. He talked to me about his turtles. Like, because I would bring my turtle Franklin into most of my promos.
Nice.
He's just like, you have a red-eared slider? I'm like, yeah, I got a red-eared slider. So yeah, take that little bit of time to talk to people. And literally, just if I go into a quick story, there was this guy who would, I don't know his name, which I feel bad about, but he would come up to me during intermission every time and say, Lewis, man, you're the only reason why I come. You're the only reason why. And then I lost my match to leave Pittsburgh.
Oh, no.
And he comes over to me and he's like, I'm done.
No.
I'm not coming to any more Ryse shows.
Oh,
no. I'm like, yeah, sorry. But sorry, Brandon.
So, Lewis, thank you for the house. Oh man, let's say, Lewis, it's been awesome. Like I said, seeing you develop and grow, and just amazing seeing you get that reaction out there. It's been awesome to film your matches over these last couple of years.
Thank you. I gotta say the bad thing.
Oh, the bad thing too.
Yeah. Oh man. If I come up with a bad thing, I'm gonna go a little bit out of left field.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about the food.
The food?
The food. I feel like when you go to PPG Paints Arena, you got a sushi bar, you got Dunkin' Donuts, you got you got all these restaurants. Let's add some restaurants into some place. Let's get some sushi inside of independent wrestling.
Some high-end indie wrestling fooding. I got you.
Yeah, let's get Dunkin' Donuts to sponsor a show. So, yeah, let's do that.
Let's work on that. Let's work
rather
on
than
that.
just a hot dog and French fries, cheese fries. Just like, yeah, let's get some Dunkin' Donuts in there. Get some donut breakfast sandwiches.
There you go. There you go. They had Chick-fil-A at one of the high school shows. Yeah. I remember they had at their concession stand. Or the high school football has that.
Yep,
high school. In the North Hills.
Yeah, high school football concession stands, they definitely do have it, because my parents had to work concession stand because my sister was in marching band, and so that's what the marching band parents do to pay their dues.
Let's bring that around. Bring that around. Where can people find you online so they can follow your journey out west here? Yeah,
like I said, not dead. You can follow me on social media. That's going to be at Lewis the Nerd on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. just spelt just like that. Lewis the Nerd.
Excellent. Lewis, thank you so much for joining us. And we're going to have to get you back and at least check in with you in a year or so. See what's going on out there.
We have technology.
We have the technology. And we have the technology for you guys to check out all the back episodes of the Indy Mayhem Show. Please go check it all out. Again, IndyWrestling.us, WrestlingMayhemShow.com. And please subscribe to us on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher these days. I know iTunes isn't really a thing, but I like saying it. I've been saying it for 14 years, guys. But thank you, everybody. And until next time, please support Indy Wrestling and stay safe out there.
You know how I act now. If you got a problem, come and see if I'm a back down. Act wild. Steady sipping Jack now.
This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.